it's been at least 20 years since I've seen this truck running. Let's see what the engine oil looks like. Yeah, it's still in the safe range. Yeah, that's gonna be our first issue. Napa Gold 2050. And 2055, so close. Looks like I'm gonna have to pick one up. Looks like there's a tag down here on the side of the engine. This was rebuilt by the Brown Company in Denver, Colorado. Probably better have a look in the radiator. Yeah, sounds dry, looks dry. Looks like the starter was rebuilt at one point or another by the Majestic Auto Electric Company in Denver. Let's have a look inside. Got the key, that's good. Starter button should be on the floor over there somewhere, right here. Got the cab heat. The seat's not in terrible shape considering. I'll have to get a trash can over here and clean this out. There's a water drain for the block over here. I'm gonna open it up and see if there's anything in there. Oh, there's water in there. That's a good sign. Yeah, this wiring is completely gone. That's not good. Some of these have been replaced though, it looks like, a while back. Gonna put a little bit of Grandpa's favorite Marvel Mystery Oil in here. So we have a little bit of a plan for this truck. It is deceivingly beautiful out here, but this is still January in Colorado and it's still cold. A little too cold to start it, but I want to get some of this marble in here today. We'll let it sit for a few weeks and see what it does. I think the next course of action is to take out all the spark plugs here, and this is a straight 6. We'll take all those out. I'll squirt some marble in there. I want to make sure that if we do fire this thing up, it's well lubricated up in the top end. He must have replaced these, Dad.
What do they look like?
They don't look terrible. I think Grandpa put new ones in there.
Yeah, it don't look bad at all, does it?
No.
Nope, not carboned up. Yeah, I can throw it. Gap looks right.
Yeah.
I'd throw it back in.
Well, let's squirt a little marble in there. Yeah, I made a mess. My aim was off. I'll put that back in there for now. There's always one that's a pain. And on this truck, it's this one here in the front. This is our one. It's going to put a little of this penetrating oil on some of these bolts in case we need to get this thing off of here in the near future, which we probably will, but we'll let this set with the Marvel Mystery Oil in the engine and we'll check back with this shortly. Alright, Big Stripes, let's see what we got to do here. Well, it's been a few months, and I think it's warm enough, although today it decided to get cloudy and cooler, but I think it's warm enough we're going to try and get this thing started. My predictions for this, maybe, I don't know, about 50-50. Make sure this thing's out of gear before we do anything. Got the battery box off of here. Looks like we got some cables here. And there's our fuel line going into the carburetor right there. Let's chase it around to the other side. There, into the fuel pump. Right to here. Looks like the valve is on. And comes out right here. And crosses over to the other side. We got reinforcements on the way. Dad and Uncle Butch.
Heavy artillery.
We don't even know if it'll turn.
I don't know that it's free. We could put a little oil in it. I checked that. I think we need a little bit of water. I did trace the fuel line. It goes back over there. There's a place for a battery. I'm a little worried that our wiring on this is going to be just like our 45 Chevy that's in the shop that we have to rewire. That aluminum stuff is just turning into powder.
You should be able to go right to the coil.
Right to the coil?
Yeah, yeah.
And
that'll energize everything for now?
I would think. That resistor doesn't look great.
Where is the starter? Can we just go direct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Let's just jump it.
jump it directly to the starter. Well,
Yeah.
this red one goes to the frame. That's the ground. Is that one wiggling up there to the starter?
No. You know what, Aaron? Let's pull that off and do like Butch said and jump it and see if it'll even turn.
That's not good.
I was checking out the
Yeah.
latch on there. It's like I have an old cabinet.
It is. You have
I
a carpenter fixed this glove box latch. Which is going to see if we can get this door open.
Pull it open. Oh.
I got no handle.
Oh.
There it goes. Ooh. Oh, more wasp nests.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can see the remnants of the Army star underneath this orange paint on the door. Like Dad said, there's no water in the oil at least, so that's a good sign. We'll take it off and clean it. This says a Fram KA4 filter. I couldn't see it in there, so I'm gonna put a little bit more antifreeze in here. And this is concentrate. I'll add a little water too. Pretty low.
Thirsty.
Yeah. That's 2 gallons, almost. Antifreeze and water. Put a little bit more oil in here. Oh yeah, that brought it up to the full mark.
It's way up now.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It's relatively clean.
Well, it's been sitting, all the big stuff settled out to the bottom.
Hose in there and then plug it, pull it out, and it'll...
That's what I
It'll
say,
go,
it'll
yeah.
siphon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
No,
can...
you need to...
I'll let you do that.
No, I've done enough of that.
I have to.
Yeah, I think we've all got a mouthful of gasoline.
Isn't that the hot going into the distributor
That's
there?
the power, yeah.
So that would be the ground side off of here.
Yeah.
We're gonna try our luck. I put the fuel line back on here. We're gonna try our luck with the fuel pump and see if it picks anything up, if we can get this to turn over. I'll just take the fuel tank over here and put this line into it. Clean contacts.
Cleaning them up.
I wonder if we ought to look in that distributor or just leave it alone.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I looked in it. It's all
Is it
right.
clean in there?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. Grandpa had this running, but that was what, 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, a good.
The last time I've know of it
Sometime in
running.
the 90s,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. Right here. Dad and Uncle Butcher over there working on the electrical system. I'm gonna see if I can get a impromptu fuel tank over here. I'll go ahead and hook up the negative, I guess. We're gonna see if it turns before we add power to it to try and get it to start. All right, it's hooked up.
Oh, it ain't going far enough.
Putting a screwdriver in there.
Yeah.
We need.
All right.
You're not hitting the switch.
There's not enough throw.
Ready?
Yeah.
Well, that turned the starter.
Starter turns. I don't think the...
Bendix ain't kicking in. It ain't the Bendix. You know what? I'll bet the Bendix is rusted up.
Yeah, I think you're right. With the starter Bendix not kicking in and turning anything, our next thought was to just pull this with the backhoe and see if the engine's even free enough and gonna turn. But before we do that, we have to fire this crane up again and pick this bucket up off the ground. There it goes. I think we're gonna move this whole rig over closer to the shop where we can work on it.
I might have to give you some slack.
What are you doing, cleaner?
What I always do, clean.
Fortunately, we just did the Willet start on this Leroy engine and the crane here. I got the gas tank over here. I got the battery back up here. I think we're ready for Dad to fire it up.
I'm going to release the brake. I want you to pull this one line out so I can rewind it.
Grandfather's advice was to bang this on the ground a few times to get it to free up. And we got the swing loosened up. It wasn't working before. We're pushing this thing back and forth. I actually had to put the transfer case, the high-low, in gear, and we got the engine to turn. Got this up here next to the shop, and we got lucky because all of the tires took air. So while we were pushing it, I was putting it in gear to see if it would move. Turns out that the main box was in gear, but I did not have the high-low, basically splitter engaged. So once I put that in, the engine moved freely. I just hooked up the battery again. I'm going to try the starter one more time, just in case when we were putting it in gear and rolling it around, something came loose.
No, same thing. Gonna have to pull that starter.
Yep, I think you're right. Kind of took the old floor mat out of here. It's pretty rusty on the floor. Could be fixed. It actually isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Blew everything out, cleaned it out in here. And up there you can see the shift pattern. So I had it in third high when we pushed it to turn the engine. So that worked really well. Kitty's looking for mice up in here. I'm sure there is some. This thing's pretty gross inside of here. Right, Big Stripes? All right. I disconnected this spring, hooks back here, and then into the front of here. There we go. I'm gonna get this over on the bench and see if we can get it loose. Cleaner's cleaning it up. I think it works fine. I'll show you all why in a minute here. I think the mice have gotten in the bell housing here. I'm gonna get the air, the compressed air, and blow that out. That might have also been keeping that starter from engaging. There's an inspection cover right here. Take out these bolts here, this one's missing, and one over here. See if I can get all that junk out of the bell housing. All right, that one's in that socket. Oh.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah. I got a mouse turd. Oh, there's a mouse. There was a mouse in here.
Where's the kitty?
I don't know. That's why it wouldn't start. Well, there's our problem. That mouse is not really happy.
No.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty. There's just stuff falling out of there. Those mice had that whole thing packed with stuff out of the seat cushions and everything from inside. I'm gonna put a bar in here and see if I can turn. Oh yeah. Get everything out of here. Well, we know the engine's free. Plenty of stuff falling out of there. That might have been why our starter did not want to engage. In fact, I'd almost guarantee it. Wow. You can see right up in there, around the fork for the clutch, there's still some up there. I've been blowing on this and turning this for a long time, and this thing was packed completely solid with mouse nest. I think we got it to a point I can put the starter back on. Dad just got this starter cleaned up really nice, and we even oiled it. There's a little oil cup here on the end. Oiled everything up. It's working really good. And the way that this works, there's a pedal on the floor. When you press that pedal in, it will engage that pinion with that lever. And then when you press it all the way to the floor, it presses a starter to engage it with the pinion out. And I think our problem was not the starter. I think the mice had actually built nests in here and it would not let this pinion engage. Now that we've evicted Stuart Little, I want to put the starter back on here and we're going to give it another try. There we go, got the starter back on. I've got the battery hooked up too. Dad's getting some gas ready. We'll hook up our jumpers. First we'll see if this even turns it over. Okay, I'm gonna see if it'll crank. We're business. Right now we're just gonna check and see if we got spark and see if we can keep it running by putting some gas in the carburetor until the fuel pump will keep picking it up. Hey!
What?
That gauge, as soon as I turn the key on.
All right, let me see if it'll spark.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's sparking.
We
It's
got
weak.
spark. Nice.
Light spark.
Yeah, it had some though.
It ain't getting gas.
Plugs and points and carburetor awesome. And it'll run.
Yeah.
Good tune up.
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome.
We now know it runs, not only starts, but it ran for about 30-40 seconds until we had a fuel issue.
We'll get this thing going. Well, we answered the burning question. It will start. And I think our next step on a future video, we're gonna rebuild the carburetor, get some plugs and wires, and get it running for a little longer of a duration. But we at least know now it'll start. I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
One of my memories of this machine was we were actually in a farmer's yard digging a new well for him, and it was right in his main yard. And it was hot in the summer, well over 95 degrees. And middle of the afternoon, I ran out of water, so he had a yard hydrant out there. So I went over there to fill my water jug up with water, and there was a big shade tree there, and he had some mongrel farm dog was laying there in the shade of that tree. And I went over there, and as soon as I cracked that hydrant open, that dog come to life. He was sleeping there in the shade. And he came to the life after me. I snapped it shut, dropped my water jug, and I ran. It was probably about 40-50 feet from this rig. My dad's in there working. I jumped up on this bumper, up onto the hood, and right up onto the cab. I was only in my 20s then, in about 3 steps. And that dog's on my heels. Luckily, I had enough time that by the time he got here, I had some distance on him when he come to the life. So he fooled around jumping at me, and finally he decided that, you know, he wasn't going to get me. So my dad swings around dumping a bucket of dirt, and he kind of seen the thing, and he's up there laughing in his seat in the machine at the whole incident. And then I was afraid to get down because the dog was, you know, he knew me then.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, I swear from the ground to that roof, I did in probably 2.5 to 3 seconds.
Yeah, and that's 7 feet tall up there to that roof. So
but I didn't look like this back then.
Well, and then your dad's laughing at you.
Yeah.
I think your dad laughing at you must run in the family. That was Dad's first inclination when I got stung by all the wasps, was to laugh, right?
Yeah, and all the commotion, and I wasn't the only one. Your neighbors got a pretty good kick out of it.
Well, that was on film afterwards, but it's okay. You can all laugh at it. It is kind of funny.